did all that and didn't start it. So anyway, I just did a whole 5 minutes or so showing the roadway, and evidently didn't have the record button pushed. So right now I'm standing at the junction where the development roadway comes across the ridge, goes to, you know, our property. We just bought this lot over here, and we own what were 2 lots down at the end here. So I'll give a little walk up here and kind of give you a look at the roadway project. And this is something I'll have to go to the homeowners association, get approval for, see if they'll let me take care of it, because they don't tend to take care of our part of the road here. So as you can see, this is basically just, you know, clay and organic material. They've at different times put rock on top of it, but they don't really maintain our road very well. It gets forgotten most of the time. And so what I'd like to do is fix this up and get it, do a good, rehab of this part of the roadway, probably back to the end of the property. I think this is about 150 feet total. Maybe extend this turnaround area a little bit, because trucks have a hard time, getting turned around. So take down some of these trees right here and extend this out a little bit. Put down some roadway fabric, some heavier rock for base, and then probably some gravel, 3/4 inch gravel, something like this here, over the top of that, and get good drainage, so it'll be good for years. Because otherwise, what happens is, I don't know how well the camera picks this up, but they've put gravel on here at different times, and it just ends up sinking through the clay and silt, and you end up with this. This has been graveled, multiple times, but it just ends up sinking into the dirt underneath. So this is part of the road that's been recently resurfaced, and they came in and they actually did a real nice job. Made it, flattened it out real nice, gave a little bit of a crown to it so the water'd run off and like that. And it started out, for a week or two being real nice and flat and everything, but the rain just so quickly eats away at everything. It's already becoming a washboard in a lot of areas, which will get really bad, I imagine. This was a mix of bigger gravel and fines, and it packed down real hard. And I think that was maybe different than what some of the different applications they had used in the past. But as you can see, it's already creating trails where the water's eating away at it. And farther down the road a little ways, you can see some real gullies starting to develop. And so my guess is, in not too long, it's only, like I said, it's only been a couple of weeks since they did this, and this hard pack, packable road topping just doesn't seem to be a final solution, because it isn't good enough to actually keep the road from washing out. So anyway, that's one project. And then down there, I suppose it's about 100 or so feet, maybe 125. There's at the low point in this roadway right here, there's a place where it's just where the water sits, it isn't able to drain away, and so that just ends up being a swamp almost all the time. So it's about 20 by 12, maybe, a little area down there that probably needs drainage and some way for the water to get off down the hills, and then rocked and redone so that doesn't end up being a swamp all the time. So that piece, this roadway piece here, fixing those up would be one set of projects I'd like to take care of, so that this just doesn't keep getting to be a further mess. And then the one I've been working on here for the last few months, there's I've cut in a driveway. It's along the path. There was an old, I think it was an old road. It shows up on some maps. I think it was just maybe cut in there to when they were first creating this development or something, a way to get from up here on the top part to the lower part down below, which is, I don't know, several hundred feet down the hill. And I'll give you some views of that in a bit. But this is what you end up coming up with when you cut these things open. And I've got a lower part down here that I'll show you to show you what this was like. But I had to, knock down a bunch of trees and plants, and then you come up with, kind of this real fine silt and clay that stays wet for a long time. As you can see, this is kind of all holding water, and it takes a while for it to drain off. But anyway, I left this part kind of rough right now, so it's not enticing to anybody to try to drive down it. And down here, I'll show you, it gets a little bit better where I've worked on it more. But this upper part is really messy right now, so I'm not going to try to walk on it. I'll walk down here a ways and kind of give you a couple of views of what's going on here. And so this part wasn't too bad. This was actually not a terrible slope right here. What I did was I took some, cut into the bank a little bit, used some of that to ease the slope of this side to side in this area. As you can see, it drops off pretty dramatically, and I don't know, I'm just guessing, but it looks like that's maybe like I'm better with pitches than percent grade, so it's probably a 24, 36, 12, something like that. Maybe if I'm understanding percents right, that's probably a 60 to 80% grade, I presume. I think that's the way it'd work. It's dropping about 3 feet for every 1 foot in run, and in some places even more. And it's almost, not quite, but almost vertical. Anyway, I'll wander up here and get you. I think down here just a little bit. It's been in the sun enough and dried up enough that I can walk on it. And so just to try and locate everything, so the roadway, or my driveway off to here, it will end up circling back around. You can see kind of where I've got gardens covered up with plastic down there. I've actually created the driveway for the moment to come around and circle back up so I can actually make a loop if I need to. I don't know that I'm going to keep that, but at this point it's a loop. So we'll head off through the woods. In a few months, this will be all but, there'll be a little path through here, but it'll all be all but impassable as everything grows up and flowers out. This stuff here just grows like crazy, and yeah, this is still going to be messy, but okay. So now I'm on the driveway. Here's the part that was relatively, the slope wasn't too bad. And after I smoothed it out, it became a lot more passable. There were some really steep drops along here, and I've used some of the soil from up here to help even out the grade. But as you can see from here, it kind of takes a pretty significant drop. And I've had different phases of this. I've started cleaning up some of the stuff I dumped off to the side originally, so that's the rocks and everything and trees that I'm working my way up here, and I'll chip the trees and like that at some point, and probably pile these rocks up and use them for something at some point. But anyway, as you can see, it starts to drop, and I've still got a mound over here that I've kind of been using to as an erosion layer, I suppose, just because I know that's going to erode away, and I'm going to need some of that to fill back in over here. But probably a 3 or 4 foot bank right here that I've cut, and I was originally thinking about tilting it this way and then putting in drainage over here, but I don't know if I want to do that yet. This part of the driveway will be fairly permanent. I think this will stay pretty much as it is, and so I'm willing to put more work in here and to get this permanent. After we get down here and start to head back up, I'm not so sure about what I'm going to do over there where the house will be. The house will kind of be where the tractor is now in the garden. That's kind of where the house is going to sit at this point. I think I want us to drive in and have cars and vehicles parked probably below the house. That's rather than having them up there in the way. I'd rather use that for other stuff, because I don't have much space up there anyway, and I don't want to use it to park vehicles, I don't think. But anyway, so down the hill we go. This was a real serious drop in different places along the way, and so I had to work my way down here with my tractor, smoothing it out and pulling dirt down so that I could actually drive up and down it. And then I created the original road goes on down through here, and let me show you what the upper part, the part behind us, looked like. It was kind of like this. And some of that's me cutting stuff down, but it was overgrown and kind of gouged out by water erosion and like that. And so this is kind of was what I was dealing with back behind me at this point. And right now I've been able to get a tractor about to here and do some work, and that's about it. I still need to, I'll eventually, if I can actually buy the lots below us, this road goes all the way to I don't know if you can see it through the trees down there, to the road, to the development roadway below us. It goes generally in this direction, generally southeast, I think that direction is. And this road actually goes all the way through. There's just a lot of work to make it drivable. And you can see it's a pretty significant drop down here as you kind of go down through here, but it does go all the way through. Just a lot of clearing and reshaping to get this drivable. And before I take that on, I want to get some of the stuff up above me to fix. One of the issues I need to deal with is this right here, because everything from up above ends up hitting here and draining through. And this is the part that I think will eventually, it's already kind of there. And so I'd like to do something right in here to capture the silt and stop it from, just cascading on down the hill and ending up down the road there someplace. So this is one area that I'll need very specific help about. What can I do to build this up? Are we talking big rock? Are we talking, concrete or posts or something to, start creating, a catchment right here so that this doesn't continue to erode away. And then as we back up, head back up the hill a little bit, you can see we're kind of down, I don't know, 15, 20 feet below my little drive up there, just on this close patch right here. So it's a pretty significant drop all the way down this hill. And this is what I'll just show you this for reference. This is what tends to happen to all of the embankments. This plant life here grows just like crazy, and so when you have an exposed bank, even the plant life just ends up filling in and creating a mat that holds most stuff in place. Not all of it, but most of it. And so like all these places where I've cut, there's a mat on top of all of those that will do a lot to hold hold the bank in place, not completely, but a lot. However, right here, this part that I've cut and stacked, this has just all been cut to create this Y, and I pulled dirt over, and this is just a pile of this silt, and you can see it erodes away really quickly anytime it rains. So I probably need to do something to this, either covering with fabric or plantings or something, just to keep this all so it doesn't end up just washing this all away. Believe it or not, just very 2 or 3 weeks ago, this was fairly flat and a decent looking driveway, but we've had a few rains, and this is what happens when it rains around here. This area right in here, there's another Y in the drive over there, and so from there kind of around into here is the low spot in my drive right now. And so I think this is the area where I need to deal with the water that's going to come down the hills, and figure this is going to be the big drainage area for my driveway at this point. And so I figure probably need to end up putting in drain tiles or something, a lot of rock to solidify it up and allow the water to drain through, fabric on top, rock, probably the heavier rock and then lighter rock, I think. And this part I'm willing to consider as more or less permanent. It'll most likely stay more or less like this. It may change a little bit, but so I'd like to solve this problem as one of the first things to deal with. Water probably ends up going out to the side over here or something like that. Whatever makes sense, and do it in such a way that it doesn't erode the bank. As you can see, I've got a lot of trash to get cleaned up, trees I took down and like that. I'm going to use some of these for buildings over here, for a shed roof. And but I've got a lot of cleanup yet to do, and hauling this back up the bank and getting it either cut and stored so I can use it, or chipped up later this spring. So let me continue on up and around. So that's back up the driveway. This is heading, what are we, southeast, or I'm sorry, southwest. I'm sorry, I probably also said that wrong earlier. But yes, this is heading, I think that's about south, kind of over that way is west. So we're kind of southeast, or southwest. I don't know why I keep saying it. Anyway, this area will be back up. House will end up being up here. I'm just creating a pad for that water tank, right off the end of the tractor right here. I've leveled this off, and I got a bunch of sand I'm going to put in there as a pad for that tank. And I'll collect water off of a shed roof I'm going to make up there for my gardens and stuff. And then this is just a little way. This hill, you can kind of get an idea of the slope there, was heading downhill at a pretty dramatic clip. So I just created a little space that I could get the tractor in here. And I think at some point, originally in our plan, I was going to put another whole section of building off there and have shop and maybe parking on top up on this hill, but I think I'd rather keep that part of the hill wild, and maybe I'll put shop and growing area and like that. And we want to have a pool, so maybe that can go on top down here. But then I had to take down some old trees that were here. There's a lot of scrub that grows and like that, so this area will end up being either terraced or just garden area, either vegetables or other kinds of plantings. And this was actually, you can kind of get an idea of what the slope is right here. I don't know, what is that, you know, probably not a 12-12. That's probably got a drop of maybe 8-12, something like that. 7-8-12, something like that. Anyway, you know, not quite as severe. This area isn't too bad for a slope. Just around the corner it gets much more severe. 12-12 or beyond, you know, just around the corner over here. And way down there, I think that's a little bit of the roadway that, you know, kind of between the trees down there, several hundred feet down. So this is kind of the layout of what we're dealing with. Lots of water coming down, you know, year round. We pretty much get rain year round, and depending upon which website you look at or exactly which area you're talking about, you know, in this area we seem to get, you know, somewhere around 100, maybe 100, maybe more inches of rain a year. And so it's all about controlling the water. So here's where I've created a little flat area. I'm going to build my plan is to build a little shed roof right in here. My experiment this past winter, I actually planted these right before Thanksgiving and kind of watered them and fertilized them and then covered them up and didn't do anything until just a few days ago. Then I just pulled the plastic off and these things are still growing. You know, so I wanted to see if things would make it through the winter, and they do easily. At least the hardier, you know, the cold hardy plants and like that. You know, they don't look great because I didn't do anything to them, but you know, they'll make it through the winter easily. But this area right in here, I'm gonna put in, you know, I'm gonna put some post bases. Probably do concrete along here. Create a roof that you know, slants up in this direction across here, and have a way to get my tractor in underneath a shed roof. It rains a lot, and so it's always messy, and it's really hot. This is the first part of March, and the temperature is probably in the 50s, but it's t-shirt weather because the sun just beats down on this. And as you know, as we move into the latter part of March and April, it'll start getting just really toasty hot out here, and the sun beats down on this continually. So my plan is to give myself a shed that I can do work, you know, work on the tractor, you know, put my tools, you know, I've got some implements and like that. I want to be able to put them underneath the cover, and that's going to be right along here, or at least that's my plan right now, provided no one says no, I can't do that. And then you know, either starting next year or year after, we'll take this whole hill out, and the house will go right in here. Our plan is to use shipping containers for a lot of the structure and create a house that depends. Haven't finalized the design, but I'd love to have a flat roof, a green roof on top of it, so you don't really see it from up above, but then it faces out here, and you get the view of all the mountains in the distance. And right down there, that direction, which I think is almost west, is Chimney Rock, and you can actually see Chimney Rock. It's kind of the white rock area in the distance down there, and if on a good day you can see the cars in the parking lot up there and like that. And as you come around, since the nose of this ridge sticks out like this, our view actually goes back, you know, so that it's almost, you know, it could well be almost 270 degrees, you know, back, because the valley goes back up this way, and similarly on the other side it cuts in, so we're sticking out here and looking out over the valley. So here's the rest of my loop. I just made this so I could drive up and down here without circling all the way back up to get up into this area. And I'm moving all of this stuff. This is stuff I've had here sitting here for years that I want to get all this cleared out and move down below. This up here was just an experiment. You know, it was basically hill, and I took some of the trees that we had cut down a few years back, and I used the logs off of them, and just created a little retaining wall, filled in with some topsoil and like that. Grew a bunch of stuff up there last year, and I think my wife is going to take this over for flowers and like that this year. And I'm at some point, if we can afford it and it's doable, I'd love to actually bring the level up to about here, about even with. That was my idea when I built that garden, was just to kind of get an idea of what it would be like, but to fill this up out to a retaining wall, and I don't know where that retaining wall is, along here or something like that. Cut this all out. House will go in here 2 or 3 stories deep down below us, and the top of it will end up being somewhere around here, because the view, especially in the summer, is dramatically better up here than it is down below. This all fills in with, you know, the trees all fill in, and it becomes just really like a green barrier across here as summer comes along. And those trees, you know, grow quite a bit, so it's a continual maintenance effort to keep things trimmed down so we can even see past them. But if the top of the, you know, the ground level was here, and we could actually do, you know, sit or garden level stuff on top, then we'd have a great view of all of the, you know, all the mountains in the distance. So, but that's a future project, to figure out what it would take to build a big terrace right here, and whether we could actually use all of the material from here to actually build it, or whether we'd have to bring stuff in. And anyway, then it's, you know, just back up here to the roadway. Stop and give you a look down the hill so you get an idea. I'm just guessing, and I don't know this for sure, but, you know, I'm guessing, you know, that might be 40 or 50 feet down to where that first Y was in the road. And so it's, you know, kind of a, I don't know, maybe a 12-12 drop down this hillway to there, something like that. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with.